If you're already part of the channel, welcome back. This video is going to be rise of Afro culture, what's trending, what's here to stay, and why is the rise of Afro culture so relevant right now. So if you want to know the reasons, then keep on watching. Obviously, I am a first generation Nigerian American, so this is really deep and meaningful to me to talk about, and I wanted to just pretty much talk about the elephant in the room, what you see on mainstream media nowadays, and why the rise of Afro culture is just so big and in our face right now. So Dylan, I'm gonna have you start off and tell me why you think there's such a big rise in Afro culture right now.
I feel like it's just been a trending thing. Like, I remember after college, like around 2014, that's when it was like, that's when I started to see the trend emerge a little bit. Like, it just became more popular, especially in the demographic in my community. I'm from a melting pot. I'm also a first generation American here. My parents both from West Africa. And a lot of the things that I saw, a lot of trends that I saw growing up in my own household, I was seeing it being more prevalent in the community that I was in. You know, I go to a club and now I'm seeing like hearing Afro beats, like artists I listened to on my own in my own time in my car when I was by myself. Now, like, you hop into one of my friends' cars and like, yeah, they're bumping like one of like Wizkid was pretty big, was coming out. You know what I mean? He was emerging around that time. A lot of the artists that I listened to, like Malik Berry, you know what I mean? Like their songs, you know. So it was just it. And AOJ was,
even though he was a one-hit wonder.
Yeah, kind of like, yeah, he was. I'm saying that's when I was starting to like, okay, emerge a little bit, you know what I mean? I stepped out of the college scene. I was out of the college scene around that time, you know, just a little bit attached from it. It was like a year out from college, you know? And a lot of my friends, like, were that, especially the ones that were like, I don't want to call them FOBs, but yeah, we'll call them that. No disrespect.
No disrespect though, but that's just what we've always called them.
They were just walking around with their chest up a little bit more, you know what I mean? It's just like, okay, cool, we have a footing somewhere. We go to clubs that are strictly based around like Afro culture. So it's like, okay, this is, and I felt more comfortable in my own skin, like going out, you know what I mean? I wasn't just going to like, no offense, like I have a big ethnic group of friends that, like I said, I'm from a melting pot. So I'll go out to that place because I go to like a Spanish club, I go to like a PWI, predominantly white club, you know?
Yeah.
In that sense, and it wasn't my culture, you know what I mean? I have a very diverse group of friends. Like I said, my circle is very diverse. I have friends from Jamaica, I have friends from, you know, you name it, from a lot of continents, we'll say that, or a lot of countries. And me, I wasn't as confident just talking about like my background, even though like, yeah, I am also from another ethnic background other than like American, you know, strictly American. And over time, I just saw it becoming more prevalent, you know. And then like 2017 or 2016, the Black Panther movie came out. I was just like, oof, man, now it's going to the A-listers, you know what I mean? Like Drake, you know, Rihanna, they had collabs with a lot of these Afrobeat artists. It's coming more culture, you know, the dashiki pride, you know, even though like the dashikis are like more of like a trendy thing, like, okay, we're in a dashiki, this, that, and the third, and like it came a lot more Afrocentric, you know what I mean? And like, man, that really changed like my, like the way I carried myself, you know what I mean? And the way I carried my culture, you know, I mean, it took it to another level. I've had friends in my circle that did kind of do that, you know what I mean? But like, they really like emerged, like grew out of this, you know. I have a good friend of mine from home. He does like tattoos. His name's Slim. Put him out there. That really was invested in our culture and around our area and our community around that time. You know what I mean? And like we had that bond because like, yo, this is us. You know what I mean? This is like kind of like, he always wore our culture with a lot of pride, with chest out. You know, from the very start. You know what I mean? That's kind of how he based his whole collaboration with that. And like now you're seeing a lot more, you know, more popular. But he did that back in the day when that really wasn't popular. Back in the day, Africans and the African American culture and the Westernized culture, there was a huge divide, you know what I mean? And especially in the values and how we carried ourselves and like what we really valued and how we really like portrayed that. But now there's a huge like collab when it comes to that. Like we're really starting to emerge and really putting a stamp on who we really are as people. But if you want to
yes,
take away from that.
And also I feel like the rise of Afro culture has blown up in my eyes, and I kind of had this feeling in college that it was going to happen. Like, even though people weren't really open-minded to like the music and like the culture back then, I knew for a fact that these same people that were trying to basically diminish my culture or tell me, hey, turn that stuff off, or why are you eating this, why are you doing that, are gonna be the same people that are gonna ask me and be more curious about our culture. Now, I didn't take it to heart. I don't take it to heart now, but I did take it to heart back then, because I was just like, wow, like you don't see this beauty in our culture. You don't see this magic right in front of you, and you're not embracing it. So I kind of felt like, wow, I embrace Latin culture, I embrace Asian culture, I embrace every type of culture. But when it came to African culture, it was like we all had to just remain silent.
Back burner. It was
it was on the back burner. I didn't really respect that.
It was there, and there was a lot of like heckling.
And I felt so bad for the people that were FOBs at the time, where it really wasn't popular to be an FOB, and they wanted to like change their like first name to like an English name, like just to feel included and accepted by this culture. And I think to myself, like, American culture is a melting pot. So if you can't accept me as the melting pot, then why is it called a melting pot then? You know, I just thought to myself, like, wow, like we're in a whole diverse country right now, and being African is basically like being silenced back then. Then you get to the Black Panther movie, it's cool, it's cool, it's cool. Then you see Drake feature, you know, Wizkid on a song, you got, and then you got Chris Brown and DeVito. And I'm just like, and I told people, I said, thank you Drake, thank you Chris Brown for all that you've done, but you weren't needed. This was going to be like this regardless of those features or not. And I'm trying to explain this to people, that Afrobeats is such a magical genre that regardless, sooner or later, you were going to see the rise. Regardless of a Drake feature or not, there was gonna be a rise in Afrobeats. And I knew it was coming because of Drake really just advocating for our culture, saying that listen guys, like Afrobeats is here to stay. Like this is a different type of genre that you never heard before, and it's a genre where it makes you feel good. This music isn't something to diminish anybody's character or bash anybody. It's like you can go gospel with Afrobeats, you can go house music with Afrobeats, you can go R&B with Afrobeats, pop, anything you want, Afrobeats is gonna make it. And it's just very sultry music. It makes you feel good. It doesn't make you feel bad, you know? And
it's wholesome, and it's fashionable too. And
it's so fashionable.
It's very popular. It's popular, and it doesn't. And they don't talk about degeneracy. Like a lot of hip hop is great. I love the genre.
I love hip hop.
I love hip hop. I love it. I love R&B. You know what I mean? It really embraces the Black culture, what was going on in this country at the time. You know, so it really speaks for the time. It's artwork, you know, and it's organic artwork. And like I feel like Afro culture is actually adding to that organic growth that like us as a Black community, we're actually going through. You know what I mean? We're talking about a different age, different time where we're not practicing degeneracy. You know what I mean? African culture is about growing pride, taking pride, you know what I mean? Having integrity, having that honor, you know what I mean? We have a lot of pride as a people, and I feel like a lot of what the mainstream media is pressing today is a lot of degeneracy, you know what I mean?
It's so depressing. The music is depressing.
This disrespects us as a people, like Black
so toxic.
people, you know what I mean?
So toxic.
And it's divisive, you know what I mean? What makes you want to hate authority? What makes you want to do this? Want to hurt somebody? You know what I mean? Like I was listening to music the other day. All you want to do is they're talking about drugs, sex, you know, all the vices that you can think of are in this music. It's like, man, I don't want to talk about that. Like I want to go somewhere.
And then you wonder, like I'm on TikTok a lot,
and they're getting paid millions to do that.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm on TikTok a lot, and a lot of people are saying that in these urban cities like New York, Philly, DC, like Houston, you're not gonna find a lot of people wanting to go to clubs anymore because nobody wants to dance. Everybody's on their phone. Everybody is just looking away, looking up, looking down, looking away. No, you could literally see a crowd of people in a club just standing.
Yeah.
And when you go to Afrobeat,
and they're subliminally being fed these.
yeah. So like, the music isn't good. the message isn't good, but every time I go home and I go to my Afrobeats club, you see everybody dancing.
It's jumping.
Everybody is dancing. Everybody is vibing.
Like our wedding,
everybody was dancing.
You know?
I really feel like we need to shift the era of like clubbing and social events.
I think people, it's happened already.
It has happened, but
happening already.
You know, you hear some people here and they're like, oh, I don't know why people love Afrobeats. It's really just the same type of tune, same type of beat, and it's not. Guys, let me tell you right now, Afrobeats is not. But we'll get into that some other time. But I really want people to understand that this Afro culture that you see right now trending on mainstream media is not a trend for us. This is our real lives. This is our real culture. Regardless if you want to go to Dirty December next year and you don't want to go the following year after that, that is still a place we call home. So I don't want people to think that, oh, this is just a rise and then the fall is coming. Like, there's no fall with Afro culture. It's here to stay.
I feel like there's a lot of growth, and there's still more opportunity for growth. You know what I mean? Like anybody can like take a lot of artistic talent. You know what I mean? You can go on any phase, and like I feel like there's a lot of, even in society, Black society today, like Black affluence today. If you look at it, what's being in the Black community, what gets highlighted? Like I said, the degeneracy, like all these trends that set us back. You know what I mean? But this is projecting us forward. Like we don't celebrate enough the people that are out there, like that are engaged in STEM, that are engaging in like all these things that are going to be productive in society, the assets to society to help it grow. You know, music, culture, and it can add a little twist and art. Really appreciate art, things that capture the times. You know, but I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. I want to backtrack to when things weren't as popular, you know what I mean? What was popular back when we were growing up? Like I'm saying, like late '90s, early 2000s, you know, and like what was popular back then? I mean, think about your name and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So my name, I always, obviously, I have a unique Nigerian Igbo name, Chizuba, and Chizuba means God save me in Igbo, and my mom, you know, my late mother gave all of our names a meaning and a distinct name because she was really connected to that name. And there was a time in middle school where I was bullied left and right for my first and last name, my maiden name, my maiden last name. And I would cry to my mom and dad and beg them to basically use my English middle name, which is Kimberly, and use that as my first name, because I just felt like if I was to change my name, I would be more accepted in my class. And my mom sat me down and basically told me, like, you know, I gave you that name for a meaning. I gave you that name for a connection with God. And she felt kind of disrespected at the time, but she knew that I was young and I was just trying to fit in, and like I was going through my pre-adolescent, you know, issues, trying to figure out who I am. And she told me, she's like, there'll be a time where you would be proud about your name. Like there'll be a time where people would want an ethnic name like you. You know, you have meaning behind your culture. Don't diminish that because of people that are basically telling you you're not worth anything. So it was a tug of war at that time in middle school, because you know you want to listen to your parents, but then you go to school and you're like,
I'll never forget. You know, God rest her soul. I always remember when your mom used to say, like, if we can pronounce like Arnold Schwarzenegger, if we can pronounce all these long-winded Eurocentric names, they can pronounce Chizuba Ekadigwe. So that's something that like would build up in confidence in anybody. So
yeah, and she used to remind me that all the time, especially when like you start the new school year, right? You got new teachers, and you know it's the whole uncomfortable, you know, first day of school, and the teacher has to do name call, and then you know some ethnic names are a little bit harder than others.
You get
and
smirks.
You get that smirks. You get that pause. That teacher, when the teacher does that pause, you know your name. That's your name. So I just knew to always keep my head held high all the time, regardless of what type of person I run into, regardless of the background, and to always be appreciative and carry my culture with pride. And that's what my mom and dad always tried to instill in me. And that's when I kind of realized, you know what, I don't need to change my name. My name is Chizuba for a reason, and I have to approach life like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember back in the day, like obviously you were kind of a target because your name is very long, you know, it's very ethnic, but like when you look at my name, it's just Dylan Collier. That's pretty standard like westernized name, you know. Even if you didn't, if you looked at a paper and looked at the person, it would be two different things. But like, yeah, in some West African cultures and a lot of like Afrocentric cultures, you know, people have a lot of English names, and like in Sierra Leone, like when it's very heavily colonized.
Liberia.
Yeah, Liberia, they're very heavily colonized by, yeah, let's say heavily colonized, you know, by European countries. A lot of people have a lot of European last names, and a lot of that's what comes in our lineage. But going back to like when I was younger, you know, when you walk into my household, like it's a completely different environment growing up. You know, we had a lot of different customs, cultures that was heavily influenced on that, and inside my household, like the food that we ate, like my parents spoke Creole, so like a broken English is another dialect, you know, similar to Pidgin, but like it's a similar dialect we speak in our house, and like that was always spoken to us, you know what I mean? And like we just had it was a different vibe, the music that was playing, the food that was the way my house smelled. And people, I would get heckled all the time, like friends that were in a Western culture, African Americans in our culture, you know what I mean? I was a big target for ridicule and a lot of heckling growing up, just based on that. And like a lot of them, you wouldn't know from the surface the way I carried myself like outside, but like my parents, they would hear their accent, you know what I mean? Like you'd hear jokes like, "Oh, the stereotypical is your dad drive a taxi" and stuff like that.
That's
like,
so mean. That's so mean. Like it's so mean.
I mean, it's the times, you know. The times we're living in, you know, and like it affect me, you know what I mean? It breaks your confidence in who you really are, you know what I mean? The essence of who you are, like your ethnic culture, you know what I mean? But it kind of like stunts your growth and trying to expand, like what's really more, what's going on more, because this is the society that you live in. You have to kind of accommodate to that and conform to what's going on around you. So like, we didn't have the same amount of confidence that is being portrayed today. I remember one time, another scenario, my older siblings, you know what I mean? Like this has had to been like at least either early 2000s, yeah, sometime in the early 2000s. I was a kid, or maybe late 90s, I don't know. But my older sister or my brothers, they brought their friends over one time, and like literally I had like an ethnic dish. I had like okra, and I had like fufu. You know, I was watching cartoons, and I was sitting down, like literally looked like a bush boy. Literally looked like a bush boy. That's what they would call it, you know. Sitting in front of cartoons, you know, it's in my element, you know what I mean? But and they come in, and you saw literally the distraught on my brother and my sister's face. Like they were so mad that they didn't even say anything, you know what I mean? But it was just like, I thought I did something wrong, and then like, I don't know, I got yoked up. It's like, get out of here, go over there, literally eating like stew and like meat, like, you know, I had my whole setup, you know what I mean? And like, it's just like,
this is real tears, because that's hilarious.
Back then it was just like, man, like what the hell are you doing? I got a tongue lashing after that, like what the hell are you doing? But we look back, we laugh at it. You know what I mean? We look back and laugh at that occasion. It's just like, man, what the hell were you thinking doing this, and the third? But like, man, really think about it. It's laughing at how, like the reaction at the time, and like it's something we shouldn't be ashamed of. You know what I mean? Instead of trying to explain to them, you know what I mean? But like, it's a tongueful, and like when you're a young teenager, you're not really trying to like. It was different back in the early, back in those days. Like a teenager wasn't trying to understand your damn culture. You know what I mean? They were trying to like just, you know, living in the moment, living in the times with that culture, and especially in the Western American culture. That wasn't a thing. That wasn't a thing. That's a target to get roasted. You know what I mean?
That wasn't a thing. That wasn't a thing. You know? I don't think I feel like if we saw people in our class that were African that were like, you know, forget what people say, I'm gonna bring my native food or lunch, then maybe more people
now.
I'm saying back then.
Oh, yeah.
If I was to see an older class member or like maybe a senior at the time come in with like jollof, be like, yo, I really don't care what y'all say, I'm gonna eat my food, I probably would have been like, you know what, I'm gonna do the same. But the fact that we didn't have anybody in front of us not caring about what people thought, we were like, okay, well, guess what? We're not gonna bring any ethnic native foods. We're gonna eat the American foods that you guys eat, just to blend in the crowd. And
burger and fries.
You know, and I'm really happy that the younger generation, like my sister, they are just so open-minded and so welcoming to different people and their cultures that like I really feel like the Afro culture, the rise of it, there's not a rise now. It's just here
people,
to stay.
It's crazy, like people, like you see like jollof, like a stew soup and a goosey soup. We have our friends from those days, you know what I mean, who used to make fun of us.
Man.
And now feeding for that food today. It's just like, man, like, yo, when am I gonna get jollof again? You can't. It's a hard commodity to come by out here, you know what I mean? But like, I think I took that for granted. Like when my late mother like used to make that all the time, just like, man, can you just have like, I don't know, like a regular, like a non-ethnic meal, you know what I mean? I used to take that stuff for granted back then, but like now it's hard to come by. Like, what I wouldn't give for like some cassava,
guys, we're in Florida,
leaves, like cray cray and all that. Those
and we're in
dishes.
an area that they don't have Nigerian restaurants, and we are fiending bad for some Nigerian food, like bad.
Yeah.
Bad. But you know, I think this is good to like kind of talk about it because, you know, me being a beauty content creator, whatever you want to call it, fashion content creator, like you need to know who is behind all of this content. And I am, first and foremost, a Nigerian American, and I want people to understand my culture before understanding all this other stuff that I post, because you know, it all comes together. You know, you're supposed to know the background and history about who you're watching. And I don't think it's crazy. I've been doing YouTube, guys, for 4 years. Never once told you guys really about my culture. Yeah. So that's shame on me for doing this now. Yeah. But I really, really hope that you guys understand the history behind African culture and why it's really, really close to our hearts.
Prevalent like, today.
It's so prevalent, you know, and I really hope that like with the rise of mainstream media and African culture that like a lot of Black Americans can find the opportunity and the time to connect back to their African roots, because that's really truly who you are. And if we can just come together and understand that as a group of people, I feel like the rise of African culture is going to be skyrocket. It's gonna be here for decades to come, you know, generations to come. So
yeah. I feel like this new generation, they're way more accepting.
Way more accepting. Yeah. I've never seen so many people go to Dirty December in my life. Go to Legos.
There's a lot more awareness.
This is crazy. I love it. I love it. Yeah. You know, my friends, I know you guys are watching this, probably like, oh, Chizzy, you talking about everybody else, but where are we going? We are planning that, guys. I really want my friends to experience Nigeria. It's been a while since I've been home. It's been over close to 15 years, so that's not good. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna definitely be better, and I want to have my friends experience, you know, my culture, like real Igbo culture. And obviously Dylan is half Yoruba, so like I want to definitely connect both of our cultures in Nigeria together with our friends to witness. And yeah, I mean, there's really no words. I'm very grateful. I feel like now this is the best time to just be like, you know what, all the bullying, all the negative words and connotations to our culture, just leave that in the past and really just carry your culture with pride, because you know, you really don't know who's watching you. You really don't. Everybody's watching you. So
respect everyone's culture. I feel like
respect everyone's culture.
Respect your own culture first and foremost, but respect everybody's culture.
Respect everybody's culture. Yes, yeah, exactly.
You know, that's the way forward. You know what I mean? And then I think over time, I think we're seeing it now. Like we're starting to see a lot of like the negative biases in our society, even though the mainstream media might make it look like might make it look like it's not the case. But I think we're moving in a positive direction.
We are.
You know, from a social standpoint. So
yeah,
I'm happy about that.
More transparency to come.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you lovies later. Bye.
There we go.